you thought no one was watching. That in public, you were just another face in the crowd. But you were wrong. Every step you take, every word you speak, every reaction you give is being measured, not by eyes you can see, but by those calculating what you're worth. Not everyone watches to understand you. Some watch to rank you, to position you, to predict how easily you can be controlled. And here's what Machiavelli knew. Public space is not neutral. It's a battlefield of perception. And the weak expose themselves without even realizing it. Most people think power is about taking action, being loud, being liked, being authentic. But Machiavelli laughed at that. Because true power isn't shown. It's withheld. It's invisible. It's the silence you didn't break, the emotion you didn't show, the explanation you never gave. In public, you are not here to be seen. You are here to install fear, provoke doubt, and command without sound. The moment you try to fit in, you've already shrunk. The moment you react, you've already been baited. The moment you reveal your pain, you've already handed them the weapon. So today, I'll give you something else. Not advice, but a weaponized code. 7 things you must never do in public. If you want to move through this world like a ruler without a crown, a force without a name, a presence they feel, but cannot define. And when you learn to subtract these weaknesses from your performance, you won't need attention. Attention will orbit you. Rule 1. Never apologize publicly for your standards. Weak men apologize to be accepted. Powerful men don't explain. They install discomfort and let it settle. In public, the moment you say, "I didn't mean it like that," you've already lost. You didn't just soften your words. You surrendered your edge. You invited others to reshape the meaning of your presence. And now, you're no longer in control of the narrative. You're reacting to theirs. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He warned, never let your principles sound like confessions. Because when you apologize for your standards, you teach others that your boundaries are negotiable, that your truth is a performance, that you can be bent, and people will bend you. They'll sense the weakness in your tone, the hesitation in your eyes, and they'll move in, not to forgive you, but to claim territory on your identity. So here's the move. Say it. Mean it. Stand still when they look at you, waiting for you to soften. You offer nothing. You hold the silence. You let their discomfort grow roots. Because real power isn't about who's right. It's about who defines what right looks like. And in that moment, when the room is tense, when eyes are locked on you, when someone says, "That sounded harsh," you respond like this. "Maybe, but it was accurate." No smirk, no defense, no flinch. Let your tone be surgical. Let your stillness become the frame everyone must adjust to. Because in public, every apology is an admission of vulnerability, and every admission is remembered. So if you want your words to be remembered, say them with finality. Say them like you don't care if they land. Say them like they were never up for negotiation. And when they ask you to walk it back, you walk forward. Rule 2. Never reveal what you need. You think honesty makes you relatable. That by telling people what you need, you'll build trust, connection, support. But that's what the weak believe. Machiavelli understood the darker truth. The moment you reveal your needs, you hand over the blueprint to your manipulation. Because now, they know how to control you. They know where the leverage is. They don't need to attack you. They just need to withhold what you're craving. Attention, validation, recognition, forgiveness. It doesn't matter what it is. The moment it's visible, it's vulnerable. You'll notice it in conversations. Someone says, "I just want to be seen." What do people hear? Desperate, weak, needy, or "I just need someone to believe in me." What do they process? Good, easy to ignore, or easier to exploit. They'll say they sympathize, but deep down, they mark you as prey. This is why Machiavelli taught silence, not as politeness, but as protection. The less they know about what moves you, the more they fear what you're capable of. So what do you do instead? You invert the frame. You let the world see only indifference, not need, not hunger, not thirst for approval. You walk into rooms as if you need nothing from anyone, because the moment they believe you need nothing, they begin offering everything. It's not a trick. It's not a lie. It's strategy. Here's a question for you. What's the last thing you admitted in public that made you seem small? Say it to yourself. Now imagine never revealing it again. That's the threshold. When someone asks, "What are you looking for?" you don't list desires. You pause. You tilt your head slightly. And you say, "That depends on who's offering." Now they don't see your need. They see your control. They feel off balance. And that's exactly where you want them. Because in Machiavellian warfare, the person who hides their hunger, the longest wins the psychological war. So the next time you're tempted to explain yourself, to reveal your loneliness, to share your dreams or your pain in public, don't. Keep it. Sharpen it. Let it become a quiet fuel that no one can predict. They don't need to know what drives you. They only need to feel like they'll never quite understand you. Because the moment they can name your needs, they can name your price. And rulers, they don't have a price. Rule 3. Never try to be liked. Be felt. The room is full. Laughter. Smiles. Compliments flying like confetti. Everyone trying to be liked. To belong. To be accepted. And you sit still. Eyes calm. Voice silent. Presence undeniable. Because here's the rule. The more you try to be liked, the less power you have. People chase what eludes them. They ignore what begs to be accepted. It's not cruelty. It's instinct. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. Charm fades. Presence controls. To be liked is to entertain others. To be felt is to disturb their certainty. When you try to be liked, you smile too early, agree too quickly, laugh too easily. You soften your edges to fit. And in doing so, you become forgettable. But when you don't try, when you hold your frame, when you speak slowly, when you sit in silence without insecurity, they don't know what to do with you. And that's the point. You become a disruption in the room. Not rude, not arrogant, just unbothered. And that calm becomes a mirror. It reflects their insecurity back at them. They feel uncentered. They can't quite read you. So they lean in. They ask questions they wouldn't ask others. They justify their presence. They seek your attention without understanding why. You didn't earn their interest. You provoked it. Because presence is not about being seen. It's about being felt when you say nothing. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who said little, but the moment they walked in, you felt something shift? That's not charisma. That's architecture. It's posture, eye contact, pace, stillness, and the discipline to hold your mystery when the room demands answers. Machiavelli would never fight for affection. He'd let others fight for access. And when they asked, "Why are you so quiet?" he'd say, "I'm just watching the performance." So the next time you're in public, don't rush to prove yourself. Don't race to be liked. Stand still. Speak last. Smile, if it's earned. Because the man who enters with calm, unmoved by noise, untouched by praise, becomes the gravity around which the room orbits. And when you are felt, you are remembered. Not as the funniest, not as the friendliest, but as the one they still think about, long after you're gone. Rule 4. Never react immediately, only strategically. They want you to flinch, to bite back, to prove you're angry, hurt, offended. Because the moment you react, they know where to strike next. Machiavelli never responded quickly. Because power doesn't move fast. It moves with calculation. It watches the outburst and writes down the weakness. You think responding immediately proves intelligence. It doesn't. It proves vulnerability. It shows your nerves are on the surface. It tells the room, this one's easy to provoke. So when they insult you, ignore you, challenge you in public, you do not flinch. You do not rush. You do not match their tempo. You pose. You breathe. You stare. And in that space, they start to unravel. Because people expect friction. When they don't get it, they lose control of the frame. They escalate. They over-explain. They reveal everything you didn't even ask for. And you're just listening. Still. Unmoving. Dangerous. Machiavelli taught, let your enemies overexpose themselves. Then strike. Not with emotion, but with precision. When someone disrespects you publicly, you don't defend. You don't explain. You don't win the moment. You win the narrative. Days later, weeks even, you move. Not with noise, but with timing. You call the right person. Release the right truth. Deliver the right pressure. When their guard is down, when they've already forgotten you were watching. That's not passive. That's Machiavellian warfare. Because strategy lives in delayed reaction. In giving people the illusion they got away with it. Right before the ground falls out beneath them. Let me ask you this. Have you ever destroyed someone without raising your voice? Without ever confronting them? But with a move so quiet, they never even traced it back to you. That's the art. So the next time someone corners you, says something sharp in public, mocking you for the reaction they expect, don't give them the gift of your emotion. Give them your stare. Give them your silence. Give them your delay. Because when you wait, they waste energy. When you wait, they reveal more. And when you finally move, it won't feel like revenge. It'll feel like inevitability. Rule 5. Never explain your absence. Let it echo. When you're not in the room, they should still feel you. Not because you announced your exit, not because you said something dramatic, but because your silence left a void, and the void started speaking louder than your words ever could. This is what Machiavelli understood better than anyone. Presence can be forgotten, but absence, when crafted correctly, becomes leisure. Most people fear being forgotten, so they overstay. They overtalk. They explain everything. Where they're going, why they're not here, when they'll return. But power doesn't explain absence. It uses it, because a sudden silence creates confusion, and confusion creates mythology. Leave the room mid-conversation. Cancel the appearance without apology. Disappear without a reason. And then, watch what happens. They'll start asking each other questions. Did he leave because he was offended? Was that a tactic? What does he know that we don't? Your absence becomes an infection. It spreads. It disturbs. It reshapes the emotional temperature of the entire space you left behind. Because unlike presence, which people get used to, absence forces them to imagine. And imagination is the birthplace of power. Let me ask you, have you ever noticed someone leave a room and suddenly the energy changed? People paused, looked around, felt the weight of something unspoken. That's not charisma. That's choreography. Machiavelli didn't just enter rooms with silence. He exited them with mystery. He knew the best way to control a conversation was to stop speaking. Before they wanted you to stop, to walk away. Before they expected you to leave. That's when they lean in. That's when the legend begins. So don't explain your absence. Don't announce it. Don't soften it with politeness. Let them sit in your empty chair. Let them wonder if your exit meant something. Let them invent meanings you never confirmed. And when you return, don't reference it. Don't validate their questions. Smile calmly. Change the subject. Keep your myth intact. Because when people don't know what you're thinking, where you are, what you're doing, they assume more. They exaggerate. They imagine power you don't even have to display. And that's the key. Power isn't just what you say. It's what they say in your silence and absence. If wielded correctly, becomes your most trusted spokesman. Rule 6. Never watch openly. Always observe without being seen. They're all watching each other. Who's laughing the loudest? Who's being noticed? Who's trying the hardest to be admired? But Machiavelli, he's not part of the show. He's in the shadows, watching the watchers. Not openly, not obviously, but precisely. Because the man who sees everything without being seen controls the game before it starts. Here's the truth. The moment you let people know you're watching, they start performing for you. They fake. They mask. They guard. And now, your information is polluted. But if they don't see your gaze, if they believe you're disinterested, distracted, or passive, they act real. They expose micro-behaviors, small flashes of truth, insecurity disguised as jokes, jealousy hidden behind fake compliments, power plays wrapped in kindness. You collect it all, quietly, without a trace. This is how you win wars before they begin. By becoming the man who maps the terrain while others dance in noise. You're not staring. You're scanning. You're not reacting. You're recording. Think of a crowded room. Everyone socializing, laughing, trying to dominate the tempo. You lean back, your eyes soft but sharp. You're not the center, but you're the one seeing all the centers at once. Someone makes a loud joke to impress. You catch the glance he gives after, checking if it landed. Someone acts cold toward another. You notice the flicker of pride, or maybe insecurity, behind her posture. You don't speak. You don't respond. You store it. Because Machiavellian observation is data collection, and data is control. Let me ask you this. Do you know who in your circle fears being ignored? Who pretends to be strong but avoids confrontation? Who envies your silence more than your success? If not, you're not watching enough. Or worse, you're watching too openly. The goal is simple. Be present without being detected. Scan without alert. Notice everything, while revealing nothing. They should never remember you watched them, but they'll feel, weeks later, like you always knew. And when the moment comes to move, you won't guess. You'll strike where it matters, because you watched when no one else was paying attention. This isn't paranoia. It's preparation, because in public spaces, the one who observes without being observed becomes the ghost everyone respects, but no one can predict. Rule 7. Never publicly show pain. It belongs to the strategy. Not the stage. Everyone hurts, but only the weak show it. Especially in public. They wince. They sigh. They drop their shoulders just enough to be noticed. They tell the world, I'm not okay. And the world listens. Not with compassion, but with calculation, because public pain is not received. It's recorded. Machiavelli warned, he who reveals his wound hands over the blade that caused it. You think sharing pain builds connection. You think it makes you real. But it doesn't. It makes you predictable, controllable, forgettable. Because when people see your pain, they stop fearing your silence. They stop wondering what you're capable of. They stop respecting your frame. Instead, they start planning how to handle you. And once they think they can handle you, you've already lost. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you were hurt? And showed it? Now ask, what did it earn you? Exactly. So here's the Machiavellian alternative. Feel everything. Show nothing. When they exclude you, you nod. When they lie to you, you listen. When they betray you, you stay calm. Not because it didn't affect you, but because you've already begun planning what comes next. You don't react. You reposition. They expect your anger. They expect the breakdown. They expect the apology. But instead, they get a wall. A calm, controlled, unreadable wall. And that terrifies them. Because silence in the face of pain isn't weakness. It's a riddle. And people fear what they can't decode. You're not hiding your pain to be fake. You're hiding it because it has value. And value must be protected, not performed. You don't owe the crowd your grief. You owe yourself your composure. Because in the world of rulers and tacticians, pain isn't a cry. It's a currency, and the strongest move you'll ever make is to suffer in silence and then reappear stronger, sharper, and colder. Not out of vengeance, but out of evolution. They'll ask, didn't that hurt him? How is he still standing? What is he planning next? And you give them nothing. Because the moment they can't measure your pain, they start measuring themselves. And that's when your pain becomes power. Not when they see it, but when they feel smaller beside it. Now you know. It's not about being loud. Not about being nice. Not about being visible. It's about being remembered, without ever being understood. That's what these 7 rules give you. Not safety. Not social approval. But presence. A presence that doesn't shout, but silences. Rooms. That doesn't ask to be respected, but restructures how others behave around you. You don't apologize for your standards. You don't reveal what drives you. You don't beg to be liked. You don't react. You don't explain your absence. You don't watch like the others. You don't bleed where others feed. You become the storm they can't predict, the gravity they can't escape, the question mark they can't stop trying to solve. That's Machiavellian presence. And once you've installed it, you'll notice something. Rooms grow quieter when you enter. People finish their sentences when you look up. Questions are asked differently. Voices lower. Postures adjust. Not because you demanded anything, but because you refused to demand anything. You created an atmosphere, and people submitted to it. Willingly. That's power. Not in performance, but in posture. Not in how you respond, but in what you make others feel without saying a word. And the best part, you'll never need to explain it. Because power doesn't need explanation. It only needs effect. So now, ask yourself, are you still trying to be seen? To be liked? To be validated? Or are you becoming the kind of force that makes others redefine what power feels like, without ever touching them? Choose wisely, because every time you speak, flinch, over-explain, or chase attention in public, you give up something far more valuable than image. You give up your legend.